6th novel I wrote, and it took me approximately, I'd written those 6 books over approximately almost 20 years to get that first book deal.
Right, gotcha.
So
can I ask you then, because you're going through traditional rejections, did you get a few of those in the post?
several thousand. I mean, I used to get, sometimes I get 5, 6, 7 rejections a day coming in the post, and that would be every day, because there's so many stages to this game. And I mean, when I started writing my very first novel, which interestingly enough I rewrote, this was a book I wrote 20 years ago. This was the first novel I thought, this is I'm kind of tired of journalism. I'm still in it, but I really have to get my fiction career off the ground. I wrote this first book, and this was back when it was pre-computer, so I'd written this book on a typewriter. And so to send it out to someone cost a fortune, because you've got this big pile of photocopied papers that you're sending out to agents, to publishers. So it costs a lot of money to do that to begin with, so you're sending off a lot of query letters, and so all these rejections would come in the mail. Whereas nowadays you can get your hundreds of rejections by email. But it used to come by mail. So it's been interesting, in that first novel that I wrote 20 years ago, in between novels I thought, I'm going to rewrite this novel because I still kind of like it. And I sold it, 6 months or so ago, 8 months ago, to Midnight Ink in the US, and it's actually coming out on September 8th. So it was a 20-year journey, and it's now being published as a novel on September 8th. That took 20 years for a publisher to get smart enough to pick it up.
Do you like his attitude? Yeah? That's the attitude we got to carry, people. Awesome.
I'm a writer who had to become involved in marketing because you have to become known in order to sell books, in order to sell the next book. But no, I mean, if I could give up Facebook and Twitter and just write, I would do that in a heartbeat, because it takes up so much time. And I find, and I guess it's like any entrepreneur, a lot of times when people start a business, they think, I'll start this business because I like painting seashells. And then they discover that only 5% of their time is spent painting seashells, and 95% of the time is spent trying to sell those seashells or market those seashells. And that's what happens with writing. I would much rather just write. But that is not, unless you get extremely lucky, which happens. Every now and again you get extremely lucky. But unless you get extremely lucky, you really have no choice. You have to become comfortable with marketing and promotion. You have to find what fits for you and what you're willing to do. But it really, you can't just sit back and write. It just does. I mean, even a lot of even the publishing deals that I've come through have come from me making suggestions to my agent. So even when you have an agent, you can't rely on them to do all the work. You constantly have to be your own champion, your own, looking for different ideas, looking for things to get your name out there, to promote your book when it is out there, to sell the next book. And you have to direct even the people who are supposed to be working for you, because it's you're the one who has the most invested, and you really don't have a choice. I mean, if I was making $4 million a book and I could sit in my cave and just write, that's what I would pick.
Right.
But it hasn't happened, so.
Yeah. And we have seen them.